get a device for $100 and maybe even less. The trajectory is proving that within 5 years, at the most 10 years, the best estimates are you would have a device for as low as $10. And that means that accessibility for the use for the people that we're referring to is going to be there in terms of access to a device. In terms of the connectivity, what happens with the bandwidth that comes along the submarine cables is that it needs to be moved inland. And inland has always been a problem. So we've experienced these issues around right-of-way, laying cables, et cetera, But the newest technologies, from TV white spaces to other radio technologies, promises that broadband will be available in rural communities in a dramatic fashion in as short a time as 5 years. In fact, we are involved in a project which will carry broadband to rural communities using a technology called TV white spaces this year, and it will come to them at a fraction of the cost of what you're currently paying using any of your current devices. And this is rolling out, the pilots are rolling out across Africa, and so this is imminent. It's not something that's going to happen 10 years from now. It's happening today. Once that happens, a number of things will follow. The way that we work will change. The kind of businesses and employment and self-employment opportunities that will be available to people in areas that we currently see as agrarian and rural is going to transform. And those people are going to be connected in a very real way on an ongoing basis to a global economy through these same pipes. Education and educational opportunities will also be driven through these same channels. And ultimately, we're going to have to deal with a completely new generation that starts work as early as 12, 13, 14, and not by child labor, but actual productive work. Either they're writing code, or they're processing content, or they're creating content of their own, and they're making money at a much, much earlier age than our generation. By our, I exclude you, of course, you know. I mean, our is me and a few people out there, not you. So, you know, we were 21, 22 before we started making money. Today, we're billionaires at our age. In other countries, and there are people who are in Nigeria. I know one game maker in Nigeria who's 24 years old, and he makes approximately $1 million a year creating games and selling games online, and he lives in Lagos, in a very funny part of Lagos. So this is the new economy, that you're going to have a new generation of younger people entering into the workforce and being productive and getting income, and they're going to be doing so from places that are not recognizable as offices. And there will be the clarity or the distinction between work, life, and play is going to disappear. So when we start looking at things in terms of where do we go to market currently as a PFA, who do you look for in terms of your clients, and you expect to get a contribution from, all that is going to change. And I'm not saying going to in the sense that it's going to happen in 10 years, it's already happened. And you only have to open your eyes, as we say, shine your eyes and see it. So what are the implications for us in this industry? One of the most critical things is going to be around identity management. So transactions are run on the basis of, every economic activity is run on the basis of who you are, your ability to identify yourself. And more specifically for online transactions of the type that we're discussing, being driven through digital channels, your identity as an individual is going to be extremely important for you to carry through a transaction and maintain your relationships with organizations. In this country, with 180 million people, I think we currently have about between 13 and 18 million people who actually have national ID cards, which means that effectively less than 20% perhaps of the potential working population of about 65 million actually has an identity that is nationally recognized. Yes, there are biometric databases, but unlike what Alejandro has pointed out, in Nigeria, we're only just going to the point of harmonizing the different biometric databases. So the nice things that he's pointed out, which are going to happen in Nigeria, there are significant challenges around that. So many countries across Africa are going to have to come to terms, if they haven't already, and deal with the issue of identity management in a digital world. And until that is done, it will be a barrier to the kind of rollouts and the surge that we expect. The second is around if we can get over that, or we can find innovative ways to do that. And I have heard, and I am involved in one particular project that allows you to have a digital mobile identity that sits on your phone and can actually connect to or be authenticated against national databases, you would be able to say, well, I can do a transaction along by my device. If that happens, as we know it will, then there's going to be a surge in the industry, not just your industry, but across all industries. And the question is, do we have the service delivery capacity? Can we actually go from managing 1 million accounts to managing 100 million? And can we do so with the kind of pressure that we're going to face in the market with going from, as I said, 10 years stuck with 40 gig, and in 4 years, the entire continent has been transformed in terms of its potential to access broadband. So our ability to deal with the overload that will come from the services that are coming from people you're not going to ask, they'll be coming to you, is going to be a huge challenge for us. Associated with that is the diversity that goes with it. So now, as I pointed out earlier, you're not just dealing with people who are educated, who know how to navigate through websites, etc., etc. You're dealing with people who expect to be spoken to in their own languages. They expect to be able to do things using whatever device that they have. So the interfaces from a technology perspective will go beyond mobile apps. It's going to go to USSD, which is something that most countries haven't actually have left behind. But for countries like ours, given the spread, USSD becomes critical. IVR, very important. Web, very important. So we're going to have multi-channel means of delivering these services to people. And in doing so, we're going to be addressing a huge diversity. And this is, think about how many different ways you can split a segment of your population. And you need to serve each and every one of them in exactly the same way and to the same service standards. So it's a challenge, but therein lies the opportunity, because the same means by which you deliver that service represents as well the same means by which you can put other things like education, you can build trust, you can work on issues around awareness. I think we get a lot of communication coming now through emails and SMSs and things like that.